Hi, and welcome to today's edition of the Arizona State Sun Devils Insider Podcast. My name is Kevin Hicks, and I am the lead beat writer for Arizona State Sun Devils on SI. And I am so fortunate to be joining you once again today. Beautiful Wednesday, about to be afternoon. Um, Exciting times to be an Arizona State fan, to follow the program as a media member. Football is just 80 days away. NAU kickoff on August 30th. Um, Sundale Stadium is going to be absolutely rambunctious, even though it's going to be very, very hot that day. Yeah, there's lots to be excited about being associated with the program. Um, Once again today, look at the banner below me. Give me a follow on Twitter/X if you get the chance, please. At KX_21. I will be attending summer practices in short order. We'll be getting footage of practice that when I can, of press conferences, and eventually when the games come around, game footage. So hopefully my content is continuing to be engaging and intriguing and informative, everything in between. Thank you so much for the support. I couldn't do it without each and every one of you. So without further ado, let's get into today's content on the episode. So I really wanted to focus on the rule changes for the upcoming men's college basketball season that the NCAA put out earlier on Wednesday. So there's one actual rule change that is officially going into effect, and another one that might go into effect in a future season. Um, so according to Front Office Sports, the NCAA did announce that coaches' challenges will officially be part of the men's college game in the 2025-26 season, joining the NBA in doing it 6 seasons prior, and the women's college game is doing it as well, I believe. So they're a few years behind the NBA, but now it's going into effect. And let's take a look at what the NCAA is working with. Coaches will be able to challenge at least one play. Okay. So it's starting next season. So yeah, so 2025-26. So coaches will be able to challenge at least one play per game. The NCAA announced news in a release on Wednesday along with other minor changes. Yeah. Coaches can challenge out of bounds calls, basket interference/goaltending, and if a secondary defender was in the restricted area. Coaches must have a timeout to challenge a play and will be awarded an additional one if their first challenge is successful. If not, a team loses the ability to challenge a call for the rest of the game. So it's pretty straightforward. You can call, you can challenge out of bounds calls, goaltending, and offensive fouls. So there's really only three things that you can challenge, as where in the NBA you can challenge a bevy of things, but still it's an improvement. In the context of Arizona State basketball, last season we all know they went 13-20. They only won 4 Big 12 games, but there was several games against high-level competition such as Texas Tech and Arizona, in which you could argue that there were controversial calls that impacted the outcome of the game. And if Bobby Hurley had the opportunity to challenge certain calls, it's possible the game went the other way. And obviously hindsight is 2020, but I feel like this change to usher in challenges into the game is long overdue. I feel like it adds an element of strategic wizardry into the game. You really need to know how to manage your timeouts. You really need to know when to make the challenge, because there might be a call that you don't like in the first half, but if you challenge it and you lose it, you not only lose the challenge, you lose a timeout. So let's say Bobby Hurley challenges an offensive foul 10 minutes into the first half, halfway through the first half, and he loses it. You lose a timeout for the remainder of the first half when you could use that to give your players a break or to stop the bleeding on an opposing run, anything in between that. And you also lose a challenge that you could possibly very well need to use later in the game, possibly even late in the second half of a game. So it's a very big deal because you have to take a gamble sometimes. You also have to look at other circumstances on top of just what's at the surface at that moment. So, very fascinating how that's going to affect the college game this upcoming season. Not only that, but the NCAA is also looking at changing the format of games. As we all know, college basketball is one of the only forms of basketball that is going by halves instead of quarters, two 20-minute halves. Well, in the women's college basketball game, they switched to four 10-minute quarters 10 years ago. So they're 10 years behind the women's game. Um, there's apparently positive momentum according to the NCAA to change the format, but one of the big sticking points currently is that there is the format of timeouts for media coverage. So under 16, 12, 8, and 4, as we all know, every 4 minutes there's a stoppage in play once a dead ball occurs for commercials and media foray. Um, they're going to have to work through that, but it really could change the way the game is played in college basketball. As we all know, Bobby Hurley typically has a pretty thin bench historically as head coach of Arizona State, and hypothetically, if he is still the coach when this rule change is implemented, there's a possibility that he'll be able to better strategize ways to get his players breathers, at least his top players, and keep them in games as much as possible without them getting fatigued. Also, the usage of timeouts. There is a distinct possibility that with changing the format of quarters, that the way fouls are tracked will be changed as well. That's a very hot button issue in college basketball right now, the bonus and double bonus, because a lot of times referees have such light whistles that they will get teams into the bonus just by virtue of calling games very tight within the first 5 or 6 minutes of a half. And that's something that teams simply don't like. It might be better just to adapt the NBA system of 5 fouls get you in the bonus each quarter. And since it's 10-minute quarters, that means you're afforded a foul every 2 minutes. That seems like a very fair compromise in terms of changing the way the college game is played and possibly making it more wide open, faster paced, possibly a tad more exciting. I already love the college game as it is, but you can always find improvements as we have seen with the NBA product that has evolved over recent years. And yeah, so Arizona State basketball is facing a interesting rules change that will be implemented starting November. Bobby Hurley is still working very hard to round out his roster that is looking to shock the college basketball world in what is the final year of his contract. And let's see if Hurley can pull it off with his back against the wall this season. And yeah, that's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in for the last 8 minutes of my yapping. Once again, I couldn't do it without you. Give me a follow on X if you have a chance at KX_21. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I'll see you tomorrow.